I'm gonna pull this up. Your LinkedIn says you're not approved.
Oh,
Well, good morning. This is Dr. Stephen Evans, and I am the editor and publisher for Outclick Magazine. This morning, we are welcoming the Reverend Patrick Rogers from United Church of Christ here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Patrick is not only a colleague, but he's also a dear friend. And I also attend, when I can, worship services there at the church. So,
yes.
Patrick, welcome.
Good morning, Stephen, and thank you for this opportunity to reach out. I really appreciate your ministry you're doing through Outclick Magazine. Just like us, you're helping coordinate change in how we communicate. It's wonderful. A blessing.
Thank you. Thank you. And just to let people know, I've got two monitors, so I'm looking away. So I'm sharing things on my monitor and I'm typing some other things. So I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking away to make sure things are going live. So I'm playing video DJ and talking at the same time. So that's kind of why I'm looking away. But
that's okay. I have a great joke. There was a pastor noticed a young man every week during the middle of the sermon. The guy would be on his cell phone, and he thought he was on Facebook. So the next Sunday he sees it again, and he sees it again. So in the social hall after church, he goes up to the young man. He says, "Sir, I appreciate you attending church, but you really need to pay attention during the sermon. It's disrespectful." And the young man said, "I'm sorry, I was taking notes." So.
And a lot of people have their scriptures on their cell phones now as well.
Yes. That's true too. Yeah, you don't see as many Bibles anymore on the cell phone. It's easier to search that way. You don't have auto search in the hard copy.
Yeah. So, Patrick, tell us a little bit about United Church of Christ, what kind of congregation that you have, and what kind of worship services you would have normally had under normal conditions before what's going on.
Well, if you'd like to know a brief history of United Church of Christ denomination, that would be a mini-series or a documentary, because it goes back to Europe, and the people came over on the Mayflower, and there were two denominations, the Congregational Christian Church and Evangelical Reform, that in the mid-50s merged to become 1957 the United Church of Christ. So today we have over 5,000 churches and over 1 million members. It's a mainstream Christian denomination. So that leads to what we have here. We're part of 84 churches in the state of Florida, which are United Church of Christ related. So we feel, we have a large presence and a big family here in the state of Florida. And in our local church, we meet on Sundays, and we have church service, worship service at 10:30. And then also on Thursdays, we have a program called Ruth Ministry, and where we feed people who are hungry. And it's a food sharing program. And about 8,000 meals a year, and clothing and all kinds of things. And before that, we have a church service that started with 6 people, but now it's over 100 people often that attend church at 10:30 on Thursday morning.
Okay.
It's exciting.
All right. And your the music is typically more of a blended service. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, you may find songs here like Amazing Grace, which we love, dearly, to a Beatles song, All You Need Is Love. You may find everything from the Synergy Twins to, we have our music director is a world-renowned organist, David Dunlap, and he, directs a few. We're known for our music ministry in the community, so you get a good blend here. It's wonderful, and people like that. They say, we come to church, we never know what we're going to expect. So, and that's true. Instead of being all traditional, everything has to be the same every week. We like that. We're open to how God's speaking to us as a church, and how we actually serve the community.
At Christmas, you had an amazing Christmas program with the Players.
Yes, we had Christmas worship. We had a 36-piece orchestra. We had a generous donor who's part of the congregation, and he helped provide us the funding for a 36-piece orchestra. And we had it was over 30-person choir, and between the organist and myself, there wasn't, like 3-inch square space left on the chancel at all. It was unbelievable. It's just, I invite people to go to our YouTube channel, UCCFTL. You can watch that service. It was off the chain. It was just beautiful. It was basically a music program for that service.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And always when I go there, your messages are always encouraging. They're always uplifting. I appreciate the fact that you are intentional in your sermons, and your messages are always, they always leave you with something to be a better person. And it's an encouraging, very uplifting service, and I appreciate that about what you all provide as far as those services. It's also welcoming and inclusive service too.
Yes, we're open and affirming congregation. We don't tolerate people. We celebrate people. So the way we're supposed to, like Jesus did. We also believe the message should be relevant. We look at the scripture, and we also use secular readings also sometimes. And it's how God is speaking through us. One of the catchphrases for UCC is God is still speaking. We believe God speaks to us through the word and through everything from nature, our interfaith ministries to, God speaks to us, especially through our guests we have on Thursdays. So I'm inspired a lot by the stories I hear from them and how they're surviving. Some people living on the streets or surviving, in this oppressed world where people, look away from them on the street instead of recognizing that's their brother or sister.
Mm-hmm. But you also, it's a blend of. I've got something stopped here. You are also, it's also a blended church. It's not just an LGBT church.
Oh my,
but
yeah.
It's a blend of everyone.
Yeah, everyone. Our other motto is wherever you are in life's journey, you're welcome here. We have, I mean, everyone's welcome. It's a mix of racially, it's a mix culturally, socially, just everything. Everybody's welcome here. We have a couple of people who are Jewish who attend and love the service because they find love here, they find community, and they connect with other people here. It's wonderful. We celebrate them. We've had Rabbi Mark from Temple of Dathor actually, be part of our service on Thursday. And, we love that. I mean, he's my brother and I look up to him, and, it's a great relationship.
I like how you've kept the traditional message, but brought it into a relevance of today's society, into what people are looking for today and needing today. And I think you've done a really amazing blend of keeping the foundational message of the church and making it relevant today. So I'm really proud of you for the way you've done that.
Oh, thank you. Especially the last two Sundays. We talked last Sunday about the disciples hiding behind the locked door. And isn't that how we feel today? I thought God knew what we would need today, what we would need to hear through the word. And it really helped us. I love the story about Thomas. He handled his fears a different way because he said, I need to touch the nail marks in your hand and put my hand in your side. So, everybody handles this stress and this situation from the pandemic in a different way and have different needs. So instead of doubting Thomas, I think he's a hero.
Yeah. What there's a lot of spiritual questions going on in a lot of people's minds about this pandemic. Did God allow it? Did He cause it? There are a lot of big questions, and I don't think any of us have any definitive answers. But
No.
give us what are some of the answers, or maybe some advice that you might give to people who are going through difficult times, isolated economic challenges. What are the words that you're giving to people?
Well, what we're seeing out of this, first of all, I don't believe that God tests us. That's from reading like the book of Job. And, that's how the people at the time interpreted what was going on, even if that was a literal story. But, we here don't believe that God's testing us. But out of this does come test. How do we handle this pandemic, this situation? And there's decisions to make. Do we lift up our brothers and sisters, or do we, hide behind the locked door in fear? And do we hoard, or do we share? It's just like when Jesus fed the 4,000 and 5,000. They existed because they decided to share. They're out in the desert. There wasn't a magic wand. And you're seeing that through the fundraisers, like in the restaurant industry, like at the pub, they have the fundraisers. One night they raised $5,000 for the people who work there, who, a lot of them work on minimum wage and tips, and just to see the community support that. So what we're seeing is church outside the walls. Well, I like their chicken sandwich on Tuesdays too, so it doesn't hurt. But but you're seeing church everywhere. You're seeing Dawn, from Pink Sub, at Hunters, you're seeing the outreach they're doing. But it's just like a Bible story, people sharing in the desert, and that's kind of how it feels right now. But I believe out of this, I don't discount the suffering and the deaths that's occurring, and because there's nothing sadder than that. But out of this, I think we'll all come out looking at life a different way. Myself, I'm a hugger. I love to hug people. I hug 200 people on Sunday or 150. So, I'm a big time hugger. I'm having withdrawal from not being able to that human connection and touch. So, and when that comes back, I'll look at that a different way and appreciate every single one, even a lot more. So, it's just a time for us to rethink where we are and who we want to be and need to be. So I think there's a lot of spiritual growth that'll come out of this. And it's challenging because people are losing their jobs, income, but and we're here to help one another. So, and there's so many ways to do that. So, the church itself, we have never been busier. People tell me, "Oh, good, you finally get some time to relax and be quiet and still until things get back to normal." I'm like, not really. We're having to redefine, excuse me, we're redefining worship, our congregational care team, how we do Christian education, how we continue to reach out to people who are in need. So it's all takes time, and we're glad we can be here to do that. And that the people in the congregation are still supporting the ministries financially, because there could be fear around that. But we believe here that if you do your ministry that you're called to do and sharing God's love with other people, the financial part comes. You don't have to beg every Sunday or send letters out. We're begging for money to survive. There should be an abundance when you're on track, with what God calls you to do. And that's not prosperity gospel preaching, but that's just what I've seen. I can't explain it why. I just do what we're called to do, and God, things happen.
I know it's caused me to appreciate even more so the relationships that I have, and like you said, the missing of the human touch. And I've said in several of these shows, I miss going to the opera and the symphony and the plays and so much of the cultural aspects that are part of our community. I really miss going to those. And as I've said, worship is what you all are doing online is very innovative and very creative, and we're going to talk about that. But there's nothing like experiencing worship when in a group of people collectively. There's just nothing like it, and experiencing the organ and the choir and everything together. It was surreal to watch Easter Sunday on church. It just was not. It was not quite the same. And I watched several different broadcasts, and they did a phenomenal job with the abilities and the technology with what they had. But singing the songs there together, it's not the same. So I hope from this we all take that, what maybe we took for granted, we'll be appreciative even more so when we come back and can do that again.
Oh, absolutely. I've adjusted to the preaching to an empty pews much more than I adapted to the first time we served communion to an empty church, and did it online, invited the people at home to grab some bread or cracker and things. I'll be honest, that was more difficult than anything, because we get teared up. Communion is a meal that we share together, in person every week, and to share that bread and the cup and come up with each person individually. Myself, I miss that the most, but I know that's going to come back, and I know people now are sharing. People are sharing in their homes. We're sharing this electronic way, but myself, I miss that. Many Christian churches are actually more do than don't only observe communion the first Sunday or one Sunday a month, and here it's weekly for us. I can't go a day without breakfast. I need that weekly communion to get through the week. It's very important, and I'm glad when I got here they already practiced.
Yeah. It will make us appreciate it, I think, even more so. And you all have done some services online where you have blended music from past services with readings and things from current services. It even got a couple of comments to say, "Are you still having church?" It was blended so well whoever did the video did such a good job. It looked like current services were going on, but you actually blended music from past services with readings from current ones.
Yes. Well, mostly a lot of it's music because they don't like it when I sing for some reason or another. So we imported in the beginning some music, excuse me, from other services. Now we're really recording pretty much live and or recording each week the music that week for the service. But one of the people's favorite parts is when we sing the Lord's Prayer together. And for one person to stand there, we did that one week and it just wasn't the same. So we're going to continue importing just that piece of singing the Lord's Prayer together because that's the pivotal part of the service for so many people also, and myself. We even went back to speaking and it wasn't the same as singing it together. And it sounds like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. So we'll probably still continue using that piece and that we just recorded.
What do you think is the one common question you're getting from people right now during this?
When will this be over?
Oh.
You hear so many theories from, well, there's all the in the press, we're opening this and opening that, and all the, fear that comes from that, and sides and division, and all those things, and that's on people's minds right now. When will it be safe again? Will this be weeks or months or a year or how long? And it's in good questions because getting our lives back to, well, they won't ever be normal. I mean, what's normal? That's a whole mini series too. But when is the big question now? Because for so many reasons, financially, spiritually, like you said, the connection. I miss the connection. I mean, we still connect with people using social distancing, and thank goodness for that. But I think when is the big question that. And when you think about the Israelites in the desert, when will we find the promised land? God kind of told them, it's like, be present with where you are and look around, and we learn a lot from that. So, like I said, it's not easy, and I don't discount all the people. We all have our problems from it, and some a lot more than others. But it all comes back to being together, where we are, and living for today. Because I mean, that's a lot. That's very important too. Because we have today, we've learned that through some deaths before COVID-19. We had some people who had passed away unexpectedly, and out of that, you never know. So make the most, that you can, because you never know when you might have a health diagnosis for even something else. So I hear a lot from people when they do get a news like that is the first thing you think about is what I could have done or what I should have done. Well, let's do that now.
I think the biggest, it's the fear of the unknown of when will it be over? And it's not really going to be over. It'll be a rolling over. Right. And the second part is what will our culture, what will our country and world look like as a result of this, and the unknowns, and who will be making those decisions, and what will it look like? I think that's the big fear in people's minds and the big question, and no one knows right now. This came on so suddenly, and then what will things look like, and then when will they look like that, and how will that roll out from everything from our travel, our airlines, our hotels, to our smaller, to restaurants, to our churches, and what will that look like? And we don't know, and we're sort of just sitting around waiting.
Yeah, everybody, everything's affected in our lives. In my training, I worked for hospice for a year. And, often I would have people tell me, in their last hours or days, ask me, what's heaven like? And my response would be, I don't know, which would surprise them coming from a chaplain. What do you mean you don't know? You're supposed to know this. And I said, I know what the scriptures reveal to us, but I do also know that that's interpretation, and it's going to be, 1,000 times better than that, then we can't even understand what it will be like. So, I said, I can only account for what's here now. I don't try to answer for God or, that kind of thing. That just know that it's, beyond your imagination, no suffering, no pain, just joy, and just beyond our, like I said, beyond our understanding. So I know it will be better. We'll learn things from this, and we continue to pray for positive, good leadership and those types of things. So,
Hmm.
like I said, they keep saying God is in control, and I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. I always like to end things by asking everyone the same question. What words of encouragement would you have for people who are viewing?
Wow, that's a mini series also. Words of encouragement. I think, like I said, be present. Learn that from our Buddhist tradition. Be present in what's around us and who, and reconnect and take the time. It's like during the season of Lent, for Easter, where we take time to reflect upon our journey. And now that we are still and we're in our homes, and oh my goodness, my life has changed so much. We're be busy and out all the time. Now I'm home and I can take time to be still. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I'm God." That's one of my favorite two scriptures, actually. Be still would be my advice, and to listen, reflect back on your journey, and use that as a tool. The past isn't the past. The past made us who we are, and we need to acknowledge that and look back at what worked and what didn't, and go forward with what did work. So it's a time to do that too. You know, reflection, I always say, is our most important, powerful tool.
Well, it's definitely forced us to reflect in new and different ways and reach out in new and different ways. And I've been forced to, not forced, but I've definitely been intentional about reaching out to people, some that I've not heard from in 7, 8, 10 years, and had conversations with people to just catch up with them, and even using this video platform in ways I hadn't planned on doing. But it's been a really nice blessing. It's been a nice addition to showcasing and talking to people in our community, and what they're doing, and people like you.
Oh, thank you.
So,
well, like I said, I've always said, friend, or whether it's this electronic, which to see how you've adapted to the changes has been an inspiration for us. And I appreciate when you started the magazine, how many months ago was it? A year and a half, or whatever? You asked me to write a column on spirituality. That has been a blessing to be able to share in that format, and that you would include that in your magazine to focus to the LGBT community. I think that's wonderful. And I mean, we have people, to be honest, who come on to our Thursday program and say, "I really liked your article last month." So it reaches everybody, which is wonderful. But our congregational care team here, and just like you said, we ran all the lists from our database of names and contacts, and we gave all these people like 10 names and addresses and phone numbers to contact, and make notes and actually call the people on the phone. And it's been an amazing response from also the people who do the calling, and also the people who receive the call. It's changed them and helped them, helped all of us to reconnect in that way, to be still and listen, and to connect with one another. So, that change in that ministry has taught us a lot too.
Yeah. I think it's taught us a lot. We still have a lot to learn. I think we've all gotten a crash course in video technology, and
Yes,
a lot of this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Zoom meetings and all that. We, starting to do all that, and it helps a lot.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. So we've got one comment from Anthony, who says, "Praise for all those lost during these hard times." He lost his best friend last week. So we're sorry to hear that, Anthony.
Anthony, I'm sorry too.
So if anyone else has any more comments, we'll take those before we close out.
We see, we had a Skip George Pansy, would come to our church, a regular attendee who passed from COVID-19, and he was very involved in the Gay Men's Chorus of South Florida also.
Right.
Such a tremendous loss. So all of us, so I'm really sorry, Anthony, for your loss, and just know that there are people who care and people who are praying for you. I want to share with you before we close too. There's a picture here, and I'll show you. I don't know. Oh yeah, you can see. It looks like little Easter eggs, but they're actually small rocks. And what we have a member named Emily, who's one of the leaders of spiritual care at Broward General Hospital, and she asked one of our members who's a local artist and is a friend. She supplied her with these small rocks, maybe a couple inches around diameter, and the local artist painted images or would put a word, faith, hope, love, on the rocks, and then the chaplain took them back to the hospital to give to the healthcare workers to keep in their pocket as a sign of a message that someone cares. And what an innovative, wonderful ministry to come out of this, to think of that, because there's a lot of community support for our healthcare workers, but to know that you have that gift, you carry around in your pocket. I learned about that yesterday. I mean, there's all sorts of things like that happening here through the church and in the community. So that really, really touched my heart last night.
I'm like, hold the picture up again. We couldn't quite see it. Over a little bit there. Oh, wow. Okay. That's great. Oh, I see the little rainbows and stuff. That's great.
There's rainbows on some of them. One says hope, love, together, passion, hope, peace. Yeah, like I said, some have rainbows, some have butterflies. Wow, it's just what a powerful. And I'll share with you how that came about for them. Marcia found a rock like this or the person who did it, on her car one day. Somebody had left it as a gift, and it just kind of started the inspiration to do this, because you wonder where did this come from? And maybe God's speaking to me through a rock. We do believe that God speaks to us, ways we can't even imagine.
Well, I'm reminded of Philippians 4:7 that he says, "And I leave with you the peace of God, which passes all understanding, which guards your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus."
Amen. Passes all understanding. We only can understand. We think we know everything, but it's like this much. But luckily, we're growing in our understanding. That's why I like United Church of Christ denomination, because we, like I said, it's in all our ministries, and we focus on social justice, and we're on the front lines in all those things around the country, and locally we did a lot of work with gun violence, and when the school shootings here at Mark Stone Douglas School, and even when Pulse happened, we traveled there, and all these things. We find that peace through. Well, that was the message last Sunday. Jesus kept saying, "Peace be with you, peace be with you, peace be with you." And then we went back to John chapter 14, verse 27. My peace I give to you, not the peace of this world. So we need to look at how we understand that word or that concept.
Well, Patrick, it's been great chatting with you. I knew it would be. I really appreciate your words of encouragement. How can they find you and or United Church of Christ Fort Lauderdale online?
In the community, just walk around. We're there. But all I like is we love our community so much, and we work together and we partner with our community in so many ways. And that's what I love about this church. But you can find us electronically through, their denomination is ucc.org, which is Church of Christ, UCC, and that's the denomination website. Our local website here is uccftl.org. And then our Facebook page is UCCFTL. Our YouTube channel is UCCFTL. But it's United Church of Christ, Fort Lauderdale. We're located at 2501 Northeast 30th Street, across from Target, Federal and Oakland. So it's a huge campus with which we're about to undergo during all this. I'll tell you, that's how God works. We're about to start a $3 million renovation too. So through an insurance claim, but roofs and all kinds of update the facility. So even in the midst of this, we see God's presence and abundance everywhere. So I like that.
That's good. Well, I know good things are to come, and we will bounce back with whatever the new normal looks like. But people are ready to get back to work, and we'll figure something out. So whenever something comes down, and God will bless us and work something out for you and for everyone. So thank you for your time.
So you're welcome, Anthony. Know that we will put you on our prayer list to lift you up in prayer. And just know that you're surrounded by God's presence and people who do care.
Thank you. Well, we will do another one of these and talk to you again. And again, have a great day.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for all that you do. This is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
You too.